Evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jim Wilson. I'm the past president of the Teachers Association. And in that sense, I'm coming as the past president. I've got sort of good news and bad news. Let's start off with the bad news. I'd like to pass on my best wishes to Steve Boleyn. And I say this is bad news because he's leaving. And I want to say there's nothing in this for me. The teachers at St. Anthony were very, very happy with you as the principal. Were very, very upset when you made the bad move and you came to the board. But nonetheless, I think you should hear that because you did a great job. And I don't say that about many administrators, as you know. Now for the really good news. Tabachnik's leaving. Now that's the really good news. And I can't think of anything better to tell you tonight than this fellow's on his way out. If he decided to leave, he never made a better decision for the English community than his leaving. Why do I say that? Let me just give you 3 reasons why it is a very, very good move. First of all, when he was the chairman here, his attitude towards teachers, he said he was ashamed of teachers. He was embarrassed by teachers. The chairman of the board and the commissioners sat with their plasters over their mouths and said nothing, as usual. But he wasn't finished. Oh, not at all. He also was involved in QESBA, and I noticed down there's something from QESBA. And for God's sake, please do not pass on some sort of congratulations that he did a good job. Because when he was head of QESBA in 2002, there was a law passed by the Parti Québécois, Bill 104, which restricted the rights of English speakers even more than Bill 101. It was passed by the Parti Québécois and supported by the Liberal Party. And what did Tabachnik do for several years? Nothing. And why? Because he was running to be a candidate for the Liberal Party. And he certainly knew that he could not criticize his potential employer. And he groveled in front of the Liberals. Forget working for the English community. He didn't. But
is there a question here?
Yeah, it's a statement. And I'm getting close to it. Believe me, I'm not going to be long. I've only got one other major point to make.
Thank you.
So he left because he could not get a job, except with Amoresco. Miraculously, he got a job at Amoresco. Great transfer. He left, and what did he do? Well, I don't know what he did, but guess what? About a year or so later, Amoresco got this wonderful contract. And who did they get it with? The school board. No competition. What was Tabachnik's role in that? I'm not sure. Ethics, maybe? Let's not talk about ethics with this board. So I would say to you, Mr. Chairman, on behalf of the past teachers of the Pearson board and maybe of some president, it reminds me of something that was said by another president. Because in that hallway, there's a picture. And what I would say to you, when it deals with Tabachnik, Mr. Chairman, tear down his portrait. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chris Eustace. First of all, I want to say I'm very, very glad that you're not holding up any cards limiting the time, 30 seconds and 1 minute. Mr. Burke.
Although you do have 3 minutes, and if I could say something, not
does
to
the
you,
3 minutes start now, or
it starts after I finish speaking? So
you'll
still have your 3 minutes. I just want to set the precedent. I got a little caught by surprise by Mr. Wilson. It's not a forum for long statements. It's a question period to council. Short statements are advisable, but and I keep personalities out of it if you could.
I'm sorry, then may I ask the question? Do you, as a board, Mr. Chairman, intend to take down the portrait?
We don't know.
That's the question. That's one question.
Mr. Eustace.
Thank you for interrupting me, Mr. Burke. Mr. Burke, I've got to keep reminding this board and yourself a couple of times. Question period is for 2 things, to ask questions and make comments. So my first comment is, I'm glad to see that no longer now we have you, in this particular case, holding up a card that is good for 30 seconds, 1 minute. And I'm very glad to hear or seeing that Madame Dugray is not reading a whole bunch of rules to adults on how to behave themselves, asking questions and talk about ration democracy.
Right, because
now,
they know how
let
to
me just
behave
finish.
themselves.
Hang on a second. If you're going to keep on interrupting me, we're not going to get anywhere. So it's a compliment. I'm glad that you took Steinday's ideas
thank you.
and scrapped them. Okay. Now, as I mentioned to you just when I picked up these minutes here, last month I was here at a meeting. I made some comments about ethics and budget consultation. The response, listen to this, is by E. Gauthier, student commissioner. How sloppy can you be? You have a student commissioner responding, not the chairperson or not the assistant chair, whatever, a student commissioner. And I mentioned that to you before this meeting, Mr. Burke, and to Mr. The lawyer.
Mr. Amel.
Okay, now, so before you all approve those minutes, scrap that, okay? Take it off or do something about it.
Well, may I respond to the first question?
No,
No?
I'll tell you why. Because
save my response.
is that going to count part of the 3 minutes? By the way, this board owes me 6 hours and about 5 minutes for the 3 years you cut me off.
Okay, but you're not.
So you want to talk? Go ahead,
Getting them all
talk.
tonight.
Pardon?
You're not getting them all tonight.
I'm not going to get all tonight, but I'm going to finish my points because I sent you guys a long email. All right. As far as the appointment of Mr. Tom Rhymes, and I say this from experience, I probably know Mr. Rhymes, probably know him better than anybody else here. He was an excellent teacher and principal at a school that my son went to, the one that gave me all of my gray hair, and I cannot think of a better man to sit up in the front here somewhere. So all the best, Tom, and I'm very glad you picked him.
That's good.
All right, now, I sent you all a long email. Basically, it deals with 3 resolutions I would like this committee, the school board to take. But just to backtrack on Mr. Tabashnik business, I know exactly what Jim Wilson said, and I'll never forget when Jim Wilson came here and the present union leader, Serge Larondo, and I came here, I was retired at the time, and we told Mr. Tabashnik, listen, you made a mistake when you said that you were ashamed of the teachers and embarrassed by them. Listen, we all make mistakes. Apologize, He wouldn't bend at all. He stuck to his guns. He said, no, that's the way it is. He also, by the way, like Steinday, is also a menace to democracy because he also banned me from talking. Now, he apparently is leaving CWESBA. The last time we heard that he was leaving this particular school board, within a year, after doing business with the school board, came back in a different capacity. It would not surprise me if he's going to run for elections the next time around. Okay, Tabashnik quit, which brings to mind...
Can we move on?
Yeah, we're going to move on very fast here. That he just came back from Denver last month, bad-mouthing the government regarding Bill 86, and generally saying all kinds of things that were not constructive at all. Thousands and 10,000s of dollars were spent on that, plus the last year Winnipeg. And also, I made a point of going to the Teachers Convention, to the Quebec Liberal Party convention that they had, and I met Mr. Couillard and 5 or 6 ministers of education, not ministers of education, but cabinet ministers, and I simply told them that there's something, you got to check out CWESBA on 2 counts. 1, they're running around North America criticizing this government and spending thousands and thousands of dollars. 2, I said, I want you to check this out, and the Premier nodded his head, and I spoke to Mr. Leado and Mr. Coiteau, Wheel, Birnbaum, and you've got the list of names right there.
You sent it.
And they're going to follow this up. I want them to investigate CWESBA because they don't even answer. CWESBA is the only institution where you ask them, what are your finances? They won't tell you. And I got letters, I got one right here where they say, oh, we're a corporation, you can't do that. That's your buddy, Mr. Tabashnik. Next. So they're going to follow up on that. All right, the 3 resolutions, very fast. The first one is to pass a resolution, basically, which the English Montreal School Board did, in which they said let's ask the government to make our programs, history program, 20% inclusive, where it involves minorities and so on. By the way, I'm following the papers here. Last week I was here, and I asked you, it'd be a lot easier if you put a podium here, instead of having. And what you said was basically, hang on a second. I won't be long.
Mr. Clark?
Point of order, please. We have rules that we have established over a number of years regarding the time that people take at council. There's a lot of information that's coming here to this table today regarding another organization that we are a member of, but that we, as a council, don't have any influence with. So I would ask that we put an end to this quickly. So
I think okay, is he finished? I think Mr. Clark is being extremely disrespectful.
Well,
Okay.
actually, he's trying to keep us on track. So,
Yeah, okay, I'm going to keep on track. You've got this email which went to everybody.
could I speak
So-
for a moment? Could I speak for a moment?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So you're already up to like 8 minutes. I've, in good grace.
I need 2 more minutes.
In good grace, I've let it go. I'm not next time. So
Why would you say in good grace? Are you
Well,
that
because-
busy?
No,
Are
because
you that
yes,
busy?
yes, we are.
Usually
that
I'm the only public here in the past
Yes.
18 years.
It's a meeting that's going to go
Give
to
me a
about
break.
10 or.
There's 2 more resolution things I want to bring
got
up.
2 minutes to bring
The
them up.
English
Let's go.
Montreal School Board brought up that they
Yeah,
wanted
history.
the
Keep
history
moving
program to
on.
be 20%. They asked the sister boards,
Yep.
which is you, to follow along. So what does Madame Stein-Day do? She says,
No, look,
by the way, they took a survey and everything
listen,
else.
listen.
We were surprised, don't interrupt me, we were surprised at the high percentage of EMSB teachers who are unhappy with the course. We have consulted with our history teachers and there are no complaints.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Listen.
Mr. Chairman, point
Mr.
of order.
Bender?
Our rules for public, this period of time say the chair may declare inadmissible and immediately terminate any question or comment that is deemed to be abusive, offensive, or that constitutes a personal attack. I've heard nothing but personal attacks here tonight, and I would like you to take that particular rule to heart and declare.
So we're going to declare a question period closed. You've spent your time. No, you don't. You've spent your time. Deposit the recommendations. Listen. Deposit the recommendations with the Secretary General. We'll take them under consideration.
Resolution is to take a vote of non-confidence in Madame Stein-Day, who has thoroughly embarrassed the school
Switch the mic
board
off.
with ethics violations, and I gave you 3 or 4 reasons. And the 4th reason is the third consultation
No.
on the resolution. I want to take it.
And returning to questions from the public. If I may, before you begin, Mr. Eustace, I want to apologize to my fellow commissioners and listening public for allowing the defamatory comments earlier in the meeting. And so I want to be very clear to yourself and Mr. Wilson, who I will communicate with, that this will not be tolerated any longer. And as soon as any defamatory remarks begin, I will entertain from any councillor a motion to adjourn, and we will adjourn and conduct our business in private. So if your attempt is to cause the council to conduct its business in private by making defamatory remarks about people and critical remarks, it won't be tolerated. We will go elsewhere to have our meeting. So I'm sure you, Mr. Eustace, as well as Mr. Wilson, are quite well aware of the importance of democracy and having open and public meetings. Do not cause us to leave the room. I respect the questions that you generally ask, but this is not a soapbox for either you or Mr. Wilson or any other member of the public. So if you have a question related to the agenda that was covered tonight, any item on the agenda, please do so. I'm again trusting you, and for the last time, trusting you that you will observe without any management or control a 3-minute period for questions. And if you can't do that, we're going to go back to crazy little signs. And, you know, we don't have security guards here tonight. This is a public institution. I'd ask you to respect us as much as we respect you. Thank you. You are, as far as I know. Yes, sir.
I'd like to remind you, Mr. Chairman, that there are 4 people here, 3 other people besides me and you folks, all of you are here in professional capacities of some sort.
Correct.
In other words, you all get paid. I am the public, period. There's a few problems going to be coming up here. The first problem is QUESBA. The Quebec English School Boards Association, what Mr. Wilson said and what I'm saying is completely accurate. We've been exposed to that group since day one, 1999. We look at this differently. You look at QUESBA one way, I look at it another way. I look at QUESBA that we, the public, the parents, pay about $200,000 to be members of that. What are you waving your hand for?
You don't have to yell. We can hear you, please. You're creating like tension for me.
Well,
Just talk.
it's. I worked in a school. This doesn't count, by the way. I worked in a school that had walls like that, so we had to talk loud, like
That's okay.
dividing
You don't
walls.
have to
Okay.
here.
All right. $200,000. And what do we get for it? Absolutely nothing. I'm going to tell you how much is nothing. You and I are going to have problems now. I'm glad that Stein Day's gone for however long. But you, Mr. Chairman, are a director of QUESBA. You get paid.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No,
You
I
get
don't.
paid about $980 or so,
From
unless things have
From
changed.
QUESBA? No, I don't get
This
a penny from QUESBA.
Mr. Chairman,
Well, don't.
Mr. Chairman,
you can't make.
there was a
facts
big
that-
deal made about this in the Gazette, and the Gazette had to put a correction on it.
Yeah, this is not.
Okay, all right.
This is
All
not
right, let
fake
it be,
news
let it
here.
be.
I don't make any money from
Okay,
QSBA.
let it be. So you said the directors do not get paid at all?
I'm saying the chair did get a stipend from QSBA. You're talking to me now.
I'm talking to you, yeah, director.
I don't get a penny. from
You're a director. Well,
QUESBA.
at that time when Madam Stein
So
Day,
let that be. Continue.
she was a director, then, okay, I'll continue, okay. Now, I'm talking on behalf of the parents, you know, the public, the tax-paying public. Now, here's an example of how this is a wastage. You and Mr. Bargava went to Denver about a month ago to hear a talk, or talks, or look around, see what's going on. That cost the taxpayer minimum $4,000. I'm just going to guess, roughly, maybe up to $5,000, going back to history. You promised, both you, Mr. Bargava, in fact, it was mentioned at the Parents Committee as well, and the Exec Committee, that you'd give a report. Tonight has come and gone. You've done nothing.
Well,
Let me finish. Let me finish. Then I'm going to sit down. I'm not asking any questions. I'm just stating facts.
well, you got another minute now.
Okay. The second minute, okay, another minute, is looking, the people here, you're talking about me insulting people here. I am astonished that all you commissioners who have been deeply insulted by the chair of this board, in which she took out
You're getting close to the edge there.
$80,000 to silence you. In fact, the
I'd encourage
Education
you
Act says
to stop
not to
where you
restrict
are.
the freedom of speech inherent in the commissioner's function. And here you are defending the person who has insulted the people who take care of our children. In my case, 3 grandchildren, principals, vice principals, and senior admin. So all of you here, don't forget, you don't want to pass a resolution of non-confidence. You are supporting someone who has done harm and insulted, hurt employees, okay?
Yep.
And embarrassed the school board to the community. And frankly, I think all of you should get your act together and think of Article 175.1. You are not restricted the freedom of speech inherent in the commissioner's function. What you are, the way you're behaving, you're nothing. You've done nothing. QUESBA is an education racket. Period. I have nothing else to say. Have a good evening.
Two things I wanted to correct.
Will I have a right to respond?
No, you had your moment.
Yeah, but I mean, you may say something which you may have twisted something around.
No,
Will I have a
I'm
right
not
to respond?
I'm not twisting anything around. I'm just correcting 2 statements you made. First statement you made in your earlier comments were that Mr. Tabachnik and made a presentation at NSBA. He did not. They did not attend. And
Oh, he did not attend?
No.
I can send you, in fact, I will send you when I get home, the program, which is 240 pages. On page 140 is the
Yes.
talk
Yes.
given,
It was
talk
read.
called, is this what your government wants?
I know-
Marcus Tabashnik and Jennifer Macaron. Now, did he change his mind last minute? I don't know.
Could be. The second thing is Mr. Bargava and I are working on a report. It's already a 14-page report. There will be more to it. We have not had the time. Mr. Bargava has commitments with the Parents Committee that have precluded us finalizing the report.
Mr. Burke, in all fairness, Mr. Bargava gave his report to the Parents Committee meeting 2 weeks ago, and you know what? It said, nothing personal, it said nothing to do with our students
Now-
or our schools.
Now,
Nothing.
You know what? You're crossing
I
you're
heard-
crossing the line of respect.
I heard the talk.
I move to
I'm a
adjourn
retired
tonight's
teacher.
meeting.
Good night.
Good night.